find somebody who's doing well, and also look at different other strategies as well, and just try to make it your own and test it out, test out different strategies, and everybody has different way of doing things. You just got to be patient and you got to be determined, and you can't just put it off, and you got to do this every day, make it a habit. You want to look at the personality of the stock, which I made a mistake here, not looking at the personality, and also how it reacts to previous earnings, like and what their numbers were. I know traders do have a tough time with risk, but if you want the big returns, you got to trade with big money. And what I'm looking for in the earnings plays is the earnings growth, the sales growth, earnings surprise, sales surprise, and what I want to see is triple digits from one of those.
Okay, welcome back everybody to the Trayland Podcast. I'm your host, Richard Moglin. This is brought to you by DeepView as well as the Ultimate Trading Guide as a part of TL University. Joining us today is someone who I've really been looking forward to speaking with, and that is James Hatzigiannis, the top leader currently in the U.S. Investing Championship with a return of over 300% through July. And he'll be sharing his setups, his ideas, his strategy for swing trading. Really looking forward to this. James, thank you so much for your time, and yeah, looking forward to diving right in.
Yeah, thank you, Richard, for your time, and you got the last name, you pronounced it correctly.
I
So
tried. I tried. Yeah, I'll do my best. No, perfect. Well, it's great to have you. And, I always like to start things off with a little bit of context. So if you don't mind, would you kind of share kind of your background, how you first got interested in the markets and, started placing your first trades?
yeah, really, my first interest, and I was thinking about this, is kind of like in grammar school, like sixth, seventh, eighth grade. One of the classes I was taking, there's a trading competition, like a simulated trading competition. That's when I first got exposed to it, and ever since then, it always piqued my interest, but I didn't really take a deep dive into it until I was about 18 years old. Um, my first trade was, um, I want to say, right out of school. So I was about 20, 22 years old. I was 22 years old, and I was actually working at a futures brokerage firm at that time,
Nice.
small, in Chicago. And, my mentor, or I guess my senior broker, he convinced me to put a trade in this speculative, uh, healthcare stock. And obviously, you would could tell the results from that I got smashed in that position. Luckily, it was a small position, but that was my first trade. And then I got exposed to William O'Neill's book, How to Make Money in the Stock Market, and that's you know where I really got into the gist of things. Reread that book a couple times.
That's crazy that in sixth grade they're doing stock competition. What kind of school is doing that? That's awesome.
Yeah, it was my middle school, and in Niles, Illinois. I'm sure you're not familiar, but it's something that I was lucky, fortunate, I guess, to have and get exposed to. And it was. I don't even know. I don't even remember the results, what happened, but I just remember, that it was fun, and it's almost kind of like gambling,
Yep.
but and it was also very competitive. I'm a pretty competitive person, so I like that aspect of it too.
Yeah, you caught the bug early for sure. Um, Walk me through kind of the progression after you read how to make money in stocks. What were some of the resources that you went to, and how did your trading kind of evolve, up until this year when you joined the contest?
Yeah, so I would be trading on the side, like I'd save my 30% of my paycheck, and put it into the stock market. I would just strictly utilize William O'Neill's strategy. The CANSLIM, the fundamentals had to be there, and definitely the technicals. I would just focus on cup with handles and high tech flags, and I was fortunate enough to catch, I think it was Arrowhead Pharmaceuticals, ARWR. Um,
2019? Was that 2019? It had a good run?
27, yeah, somewhere around
2017.
there, actually, yeah. And I think that doubled like that year, and I just put my whole account on that. It would just, keep funding it. And so, I got lucky kind of with that position. But what had happened is I started to, do some swing trading after that, pretty actively. And I would do short-term options calls, um, monthly options. And I've still, utilized the CANSLIM strategy and focus on those type of stocks. But this was just before, COVID hit.
Yep.
So, before like December, January, and COVID was in March 2020, I was seeing spectacular results. Got pretty cocky and, with options, especially when you're doing the short-term call options, with a delta under 50, like out of the money, there's really no risk management strategy. I was putting my whole account into these positions and having like a maximum of 3 positions on at the time. So, I basically blew up my account then. And what had happened is I started, having to rebuild my account back up from scratch. And, I came across this guy, Mark Minervini, just
Hmm.
from seeing a couple webinars on Investors Business Daily, and, really sharp guy. And I liked, everything he was saying. And, he really emphasized risk. And it's kind of more of a more detailed approach of the William O'Neill strategy. Um, so I decided to sign up for his program. And, um, you know, after work, every day, he's got his video recordings. There's countless of video recordings. Yeah, I mean, he records like every week Q&As, and, you know, on different topics, like different strategies he had. Pullback strategy is one of them. Different different types of strategies that, every day after work, I would spend at least 3 hours, watching this. I probably have like 150 plus notes on his recordings. And, also just seeing how he traded in a live market environment for a year. And then also he has recordings from back when he was in the USIC in 2021. And he definitely traded differently for the USIC. Just
More
was
aggressive.
more of a, I think he says like, everybody else, he kind of uses an analogy of like everybody's on steroids in the competition. So, you got to kind of adjust your strategy. And, 2021, I think, was more of a, you got to get in and out pretty quick.
Right.
So just seeing him, and, he would even comment. They got archives of his comments, every day. He would even comment on the market. And I didn't even get through the full year of that. I went through the first half because there's so much information, and I would look at every trade, and there's tons of trades he did, and look at the graph and why he picked that, you know,
Point.
bottom point, and, his risk management strategy and why he was doing this, what the market conditions were. So that really, helped me a lot. And then, I've done other programs, man. I've been everywhere. I did another guy that really helped me out was a trader Stewie. He's on Twitter. He does more of really short-term trading too, like 3 to 5 days, and he does some day trading too. And I came across him. I don't know how, but on Twitter I saw him. He post charts, and every trade he posted, the next 2 or 3 days, or even that day, which the stock would shoot up 10%. And I've learned some strategies from him and Minervini, and then also Dan Zanger, uh, which I've done sign up for his program too, and also a little bit of, and I did some of Pradeep too. So I
Hmm.
mean, it kind of made me made my strategy what it is today, and what I've been utilizing at the USIC. So, um, you know, and I encourage everybody to do that as well. Just to make your own strategy, and just try to uh, find somebody who's doing well, and also look at different other strategies as well, and just try to make it your own. Um, and test out different strategies. And, everybody has different um, way of doing things.
Right.
And this is the strategy I came up with is all from them, and it fits fits my
Personality. Yeah.
personality exactly.
How would you kind of define yourself as a trader? Obviously, you've taken in different inputs from all these different teachers and top traders. How would you kind of define your own personal trading style? Are you more in the swing trading end, position trading end? Because it seems like you kind of started with CANSLIM, which is a much more position trading, looking to hold for months. Has it kind of shortened up a little bit based on, the resources that you learned from?
Yeah, it's definitely shortened up a lot. Um, I would call myself maybe I would call primarily a day trader now at
Hmm.
this point, and the uh, the longest I would hold a position would maybe be, I don't know, 4 or 5 days,
Hmm.
I would say. So it's very short term trading and very concentrated as well.
Yeah, perfect. And you talked about all the resources that you learned from. Were there any kind of key aha moments that you had? Obviously, dealing with 2020 and the aftermath of that seemed like, it reaffirmed that, hey, you need to really go out, look to learn, manage risk, all of that. But were there any kind of key turning points in your trading that, really turned your performance around?
Yeah, I would say the biggest turning point was, I mean, there's a lot, but
Yeah.
the one that sticks out is I think Dan Zanger's one. Like he wants to be in stocks that are moving.
Hmm.
I don't want to be in stocks that are not moving or like turtles or they may break out like bank stocks, for example. Like I won't touch those. Those don't move. No, I'm focused on the technology stocks, healthcare, biotech, stuff like that. But also another one is who's the gentleman that won the championship last year? Over.
Oh, Goverdon.
Yeah, I utilize his strategy too.
Hmm.
Intraday VCP.
Hmm.
And I always thought when I was trading, just buying and holding, and I'd see these stocks skyrocket like 70% every day. I'm like, how do there's got to be a way to get to play these? And Mark Minervini would always emphasize, stick with your own strategy. You don't want to do too many different strategies. And obviously I stuck with that. But then when I got exposed to for deep, he said like you got to go on your own, do your own deep dives and stuff like that. So I took a deep dive into kind of these small caps and you know how to enter into these type of positions and how to manage the risk and um, going through governing and a lot of the aspects strategies he learned were from Minervini as well. And it's just I'm just putting it in a smaller time frame.
Right.
And that's another aha moment. And another one is Trader Stewie with the earnings gaps, the power earning gaps.
Yep.
You know, I, I'll just have a watch list of those, and I'm just focused on those stocks too. For if I can't find anything in the pre-market, I'll just have a watch list of the power earning gappers and see which ones are close to breaking out after obviously that earning gap, and then they correct a little bit, and then they'll set up for a quick swing.
Yeah, I think we'll take a look at some examples later on. But first, kind of from a high level, you've mentioned power earnings gaps. You've mentioned kind of more stocks in play that are showing huge volume and movement in pre-market. Are those kind of your main two types of setups and trades you make, or are there other kind of major categories that you like? There of course might be variations in those, but are any other kind of broad categories of setups that you like to trade?
No, I would say those are the main ones.
Hmm.
Yeah, just the pre-market movers. I call them the stocks in play,
Hmm.
and um, the earnings gaps, especially on the day of the earnings gap too. There's a lot of opportunity there for sure, and if I could catch a earnings gap, um, from like a big cap stock, like a Nvidia
Yeah.
or a gap, I could utilize my intraday margin, which is 4 times, and it's going to give me a bigger return. So those
Yeah,
are
I definitely want to touch on your sizing because it sounds like you're pretty aggressive with it. So we'll come back to that for sure. But first, taking a step back, I want to hear a little bit about your story in terms of entering the USIC this year in 2024. Was it just kind of to challenge yourself? You mentioned, of course, you're pretty competitive. What kind of led to the decision to enter the contest, and what's that been like?
yeah. I mean, the decision. Um, I wanted to. This is what I want to do for a living,
Right.
and I want to get my name out there, and I thought it was in a position to finally pursue it, and I was confident in pursuing the USIC, and Minervini, he's always um, pushing us, as students, to um, get into the USIC, and I actually entered in late. I entered in February.
Yeah.
Uh, um, in January was probably my biggest month. So, but yeah, that's what led to me into entering into the USIC.
Yeah, perfect. And what's it kind of been like? Do you feel like it's added more pressure on your trading, or you kind of thrive under the pressure? I know you've got a Michael Jordan quote on your Twitter bio, so I imagine it might be good motivation too.
Yeah, it's definitely, I like competition, for sure, and healthy competition,
Yeah,
and it's like another thing that I could focus. It's fun for me,
yeah,
it just gives you that increase in energy into focusing on something, and it's I feel like it's almost over, but it's only been 6 months. So
yeah. Well, it should be fun to watch the rest of it for sure. Um, coming back to your trading style a little bit, you started, of course, with kind of the CANSLIM system. Do fundamentals still come into play into your trading decisions, or is it more about the technical aspects now? And if you do consider some fundamentals, maybe, of course, like growth numbers, earnings growth, sales growth, how much of that is the part of your process versus the technical setup? What's going on in the charts?
yeah, I would say in the earnings, like if during earnings season, when I'm looking for the gap ups in the morning off of earnings, fundamentals play a huge part.
Yeah,
And I'm looking at their sales growth, obviously their earnings growth, the sales surprise numbers, their earnings surprise numbers, their guidance, um, and then also that the theme is a huge
right.
aspect of my strategy as well. Every stock that mentioned AI in their earnings call was shooting up a couple months ago. So just because of the theme. And then
Hmm.
also the technicals obviously is a huge aspect, and I would say is number one for me. But fundamentals, give you that extra boost, extra conviction, and that's where I like sizing up. You know, on the earnings gaps like Nvidia and stuff like that, um, and also I'll look at analyst price targets too.
Hmm.
So, then short interest to see if there's more juice on it, what the float is, and stuff like that. So, I would rank them for technicals, theme, and fundamentals.
And where
But
does market environment come into play too in that list?
when I'm doing the stocks and play, fundamentals they don't matter.
Yeah. And where does kind of market environment come to play here? Is that part of that equation as well?
Yeah, market environment is part of the equation, I would say. Um, Not as much as I would say other traders emphasize it, because I'm not holding for
Your
too
short
long.
term.
Right, I'm very short term. But yeah, I'm definitely paying attention to, the S&P and the Nasdaq and where it's at. Um, but in terms of market environment and theme is kind of very similar.
Yeah. So coming back to your sizing and how you size positions, what's kind of a typical position size that you will take? And if it is pretty large, how are you managing risk at the same time to make sure that you're making sure you're keeping that in check so you'll have a positive expectancy and make sure that you hold the profits and preserve the most of your capital if you do end up taking some stops.
Yeah, so with the intraday trades like the stock and play, the VCPs, um, how I manage risk is I'll just put a stop at the low of the candle, and I'm
Hmm.
not taking more risk than 10%.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like if it hits 10%, like let's say the low of the candle is more than 10% from the entry, and I'll max it at 10%, right? And then my position sizing, with those type of moves, I'll put half my account into the position, and
Hmm.
then I'm selling on the way up. Um, like let's say I'm fortunate enough to catch one of the moves, I'm selling around 15 to 20% gain, and then I'm moving my stop to break even,
Hmm.
and then I'm just managing that position. I'm looking for any signs of exhaustion, um, like typically at the end of the move you'll see the most volume.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, and then I want to sell into that the rest of the position. Sometimes I'll sell another half, so that means I'll have a quarter left. It just depends, and also where you at and on the time of the day. Like if it's close to market open and I'm trading pre-market, typically it'll fade. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm trying to get everything out before market open. It also depends on when the news comes out
Right.
as well. But with earnings gappers, the best moves is when they start fading before market open. I'm sorry, when it starts going up before market open, and then it starts dropping right at open, and then I'm looking for that reversal play.
Hmm.
That's when I'll use a 2-minute time frame, and I'll try to catch the reversal and just put my stop at the low of the day.
Right.
And the way I'll manage risk is, same, very similar. Uh, Selling on the way up and moving my stops. And then also I'll use moving averages, the 5 moving average and the 13 moving average. And this is for the last portion of my position. If that crosses on a 5-minute time frame, then I'm out of my whole position because to me that means the momentum is swinging down.
Gotcha. And I've got some more trading style related questions, but I know you've got some examples that you want to share. So maybe we can talk through those questions as you kind of walk through
Okay.
some charts. So if you don't mind bringing that up. All right, perfect. And actually, before we get into this, I know people always like to hear kind of what people's kind of batting average is, average whole gain, average loss. Do you have a sense of those numbers, and how often do you kind of calculate those if you do track them?
I was tracking them earlier in the year. Um, I think it was through April, and it's just tough. I take a lot of trades now, and I'll take a lot of day trades like on Nvidia and
Hmm.
like a Dell or something like that. Um, if I don't see anything
Hmm.
in terms of the power earning gaps moves and the intraday VCP moves, but through April, I think my batting average was about 55%, roughly around there, and the average gain, I would say, was about 15%, and the average loss was about, I would say, 6%.
That's excellent. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, taking a look at your setups, I don't know if you want to run through some trade examples that you have. I know you've got some screenshots there. Because one of my questions is kind of what stocks move the needle the most this year. So maybe that this kind of answers it, but feel free to take it however you'd like, and we can dive right into these examples.
Yeah, so this is one of my biggest winners here.
Hmm.
And this is that, kind of that small cap during pre-market VCP type of moves. Um, so what I found, just taking a deep dive into this is the best plays. are when they come out, like at around, the news comes out at around, and I'm in Chicago time, so it's like 6:45, 7 a.m., so Eastern, like 8 a.m. So you'll see on the left side right there, so it's kind of like it's a flag almost, and
Right.
you see it comes out left, does like kind of this mini BCP right here. It just tightens up, but you could see there's no selling, barely any selling. And this is the eight. I use the eight moving average. I like it when it's tight above the eight. That gives me even more conviction. And the volume's drying up. You could see on the bottom here. I don't know if you could see it. I put a trend line where the volume's dropping
Yep.
off, and then you finally see buyers coming back in, right? So I'm buying right here at that circle just because I saw volume coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to buy before the breakout because obviously with the breakout, and I'm not buying too far before the breakout or too ahead of the breakout, but still, like when the breakout happens, it happens big. Like
Mm-hmm.
so I always want to try to get in before, and then I'll set my stop loss on either the low of this candle right here
Mm-hmm.
or low of this candle. Because if it falls below that, and if it falls below the 8 day, that's the probabilities of it going lower are very high.
Right.
Uh, so, like I said, really the first sell, I'm always selling at 15 to 20%. I'm selling half because I'm taking big positions. And, I know a lot of people, they pyramid into positions, like they'll buy a quarter of a position, and they'll do a quarter of a position at the next buy point, low cheat, the cheat, and the handle. I kind of do the opposite. I want to put my full position with a tight stop in the beginning, and I want to get rid of it pretty quickly on the way up. So, I took half off here,
Mm-hmm.
289. I bought at 243. Then my second sell was right here at 368. Um, and you could see you got like a kind of like a doji candle where it doesn't know which way to go.
Mm-hmm.
So, play it safe. I think it was like a 50% return in a matter of, 15, 20 minutes. So might as well just take it off. If it goes without me, so be it. I got, 50% in the bank. And then I actually had a third sales because I thought it would keep going up and I wanted to, just keep a little portion in there just to keep my mind right.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I don't like seeing it go without me, kind of getting that FOMO. So I just keep a smaller size on, and I took off the last part to right before the open, and then you can see at the open. I mean, the open is just it's
Reverses.
crazy. The first 30 minutes, it's just everyone's just trying to get in, and they play tricks. And I just don't want to be a part of it. So
So you actually, it sounds like you almost prefer to trade pre-market. That's kind of interesting.
yeah, I do because the news really comes out in the pre-market, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where um, I feel like the VCP in the pre-market is higher probability just because there's not as many players, if that makes sense. Like it's not as efficiently priced.
And how did this one come on your radar? Were you looking for high volume screens pre-market and that's how you found it, or was it based on the news catalyst that you were paying attention to that this got on your radar?
Yeah, this got on my radar. I use a screen every morning. It's a basic screen. It's just, stocks that are moving up 1% on a million or plus volume. Um, and, this was one of the stocks that was moving the highest. And, I kind of sorted from percent gainer, what's gapping up the most. And I saw this was gapping up the most, pulled up the graph, took a quick look at the news. And then another aspect that I wanted to show too is you got to take a look at the daily too. You want to make sure on the daily that there's no bag holders on the left on your entry. So I'm buying at 243, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I look at the daily, I don't see. any volume here. No volume at all compared to like this volume.
It's huge. Yeah, compared to that.
I mean, the only bag holder I could possibly see is from 2023, like in the beginning of the year, January, and that price is at about three, all the way to $4. And you
Hmm.
can see that's why. Look at this candle right here. During the day, it just sold off there. And I bet you it's because of all that supply. And another reason I had a conviction on this is it tied into the theme of the market, which was AI. This
Semis.
is
Yeah.
a company, Lay's Technologies, that received an order from Lasertown, a big defense contractor. So, and it was for their semiconductor division. So, semiconductors, AI, tied into the theme. It was tightening up above the 8-day and VCP action. There was supply from about 2 years ago, so that just gave me conviction to take that position.
Is there anything else on the daily chart that in particular you look for? I know, neglect is something that a lot of people who trade big one-day moves are looking for. Is that something you do too, or are there other aspects, characteristics that you always, try to find on the daily?
Yeah, I mean, for these type of stocks too, they're always trading at their near their all-time lows. So you could see like this stock is, I mean, these are garbage stocks. This stock got again
Demolished, yeah.
demolished, and at some point it's going to turn up, uh, and it just needs some sort of catalyst, and that was the catalyst. And over here I marked the big resistance um, at around 2.5. So I'll take a look at that too, just to be aware of it.
Hmm.
And, it's just something I do out of habit, just marking the charts too.
Yeah. Could you go back to the intraday time frame for just a second here? Because I think I had a question here. Um,
Yeah, so
yeah,
that's where the big resistance is right here.
right.
So once it clears that even gave me more conviction, because that was a big resistance level. That it's been stubborn, and the more you test those resistance levels, um, the higher probability it is to crack. And you add a catalyst to it, and that's going to give it the power it needs to get through that level. And
Yeah.
then obviously all the other traders that do this every day as well, trade pre-market, they all see this.
Yeah.
And that's why I try to get in a little before.
And you mentioned that you usually either put your stop at the low of your point candle or the low of the previous candle, which is kind of low of the consolidation as well. What kind of makes that decision for you? When would you do one versus the other? Does it depend on, how far away that the low of the previous day is, or the shape of the overall pullback VCP? What kind of decides it for you?
Yeah, it's primarily just what the amount of risk. So if it's like, let's say this candle right here, if I entered, at 243, and the risk below the candle was 8% away or 10% away, then I'm gonna put my stop there. But if I could increase my risk, let's say this candle is, instead this candle is 10% away from the entry,
Right.
I'm gonna give it more room to play out. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and after a breakout like this, say this didn't work, what would be some warning signs that you're looking for that would, put you on guard and make you, be more defensive and looking to sell early, cut your loss early? What kind of characteristics do you look for a failed breakout move like this?
Yeah, I would say, you know, like I said, if it fails the 8-day moving average, and
Hmm.
typically below the VWAP too, it comes below the VWAP. Those are kind of warning signs. And then if I see, uh, bigger selling volume compared to the green volume, um, then that's another warning sign as well. While it's failing, I mean, um, for example, like here, let me give you an example.
Sure.
I'm just using this as an example. Like the volume bars here, you see how the red volume
Yeah.
overwhelms the green volume?
Mm-hmm.
And then I also have this indicator that tells me the exact amount that's selling. So here is 2,600,000 shares that have been sold compared to this green candle here, which has 1,630,000. So, I mean, yeah, let's pretend like those candles were here, like this red this red candle was there with 2 million shares, and the green candle before was 1 million something shares. I mean, that means there's a ton of sellers up here, and
Right.
I don't want. That's gonna tell me to get out and maybe look because you could always re-enter.
Yep.
That's what I sometimes have a tough time still to this day, realizing you could always re-enter, but it's a fact.
Yep. And you mentioned VWAP. How do you kind of incorporate that into your process?
VWAP, like I kind of like it to be above VWAP. It just gives me more conviction. Doesn't mean I won't take a trade that's under the VWAP. It just it kind of resembles the trend for me. Like if it's above VWAP, that means the trend is high. It's up. If it's below VWAP, that means the trend is down. And if I'm taking a trade below VWAP, I'm gonna have a really tight stop. Uh, it's above VWAP. I can have a little bit bigger of a stop, bigger risk.
Gotcha. Perfect. Did you have another example you want to share here, maybe on a kind of power earnings gap or whatever you'd like to share as well?
Here, this was my biggest trade to date, biggest winner, and
Nice.
it was on Gap,
Mm-hmm.
and
This is pretty recent.
this is pretty recent. Yeah, May 31st. Um, so Gap. So like I said, how I take it in order to the technicals. So you can see you have this trend line right here that it's gapping above. So that's one good thing. Then this is all-time highs up here. Okay, so I'm marking that. And you have this gap right here previously. So that's going to be a big area, this zone.
Mm-hmm.
And with gap as well, with the power earnings gaps too. Like this is on a downtrend, kind of. Um, it's kind of neglected. And then also, I think 2 days before Abercrombie reported earnings, and they crushed it.
Right.
And kind of the theme now was we were moving more from the AI tech more into kind of the retail. Retail had a moment in earnings, and I think it's because they were going for their more of the value plays. They had really low PE values. I put that in right here. The PE was low for kind of the retail stocks, and I think the big players were kind of doing kind of like a minor rotation and going for more value plays. But like I mentioned earlier, what I'm looking for in the earnings plays is the earnings growth, the sales growth, earnings surprise, sales surprise, and what I want to see is triple digits from one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting triple digits on earnings growth at astronomical level, 999%. You know how Market Surge or Market Smith does that. It's not the real percentage, but it's actually higher than that. Um, and then the earnings surprise, this is it's crazy to have a 192% earnings surprise. So those, I'll only look for one out of those four to have triple digits,
Mm-hmm.
and I got two out of four. And I got the technicals, and I got the theme, and we're gonna add juice to it because there's 18% short flow. Okay, and then really what I look for is three price target raised, and I'm getting seven price target raised. And I always want to see the kind of the important ones for me are Citibank, Goldman Sachs, and Morgan Stanley. So that's why I marked Citi and Morgan Stanley there.
Mm-hmm.
Their guidance. I think guidance is uh, the, one of the most important things in earnings, and they're guided up higher. So I mean, this was a very high conviction play for me. So with gap as well as another one that you could use, 4 times leverage intraday to trade this. And so how I entered into this position. So like I said in the beginning, like with the earnings gaps, like this already I think they released it after the market. So, it gapped up uh, post market and then pre market. You see it's still kind of doing a little run and then it's, fading big
Hmm.
time. And that goes into the open. And this is just me from doing kind of deep dives into past earning plays, earnings winners that, I've noticed that they kind of, fade pre-market into market open. Um, I think it's people just taking profits off of, post-market, pre-market action. But then, yeah, so I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for the dump. Um, I'm waiting for it to turn, waiting for that turn. So I'm seeing this red candle right here, and this is on a 2-minute time frame I'm using.
Hmm.
Is You're seeing kind of like a bullish candle almost because you see how this wick, this means there's buyers right here,
Hmm.
right? Uh, and then this candle develops, this candle takes the high of the previous candle and also has that wick. And look at the volume.
Right.
So, that tells me this is where I was entering right here.
Were you entering through the high of the prior green candle, or what was kind of your reason for entry right there?
I'm entering right through this high of
Gotcha.
this, and it's because it has the volume. And I actually entered when this candle was developing, and I
Hmm.
saw it was going to be an expansion candle, and there's more volume coming in. So, and then I put my stop at the low of the day. It's pretty tight stop. And then
And yeah,
what
for
I
this one, what was kind of how did you manage the position once you got in?
so for exits, I switch over to a 5-minute time frame.
Hmm.
And so I remember I have all those zones marked up. I have that gap from the daily.
Yep.
So right when it's at the 5 minute, I see, this no problems. It's slice through that zone. And then right here, I took half off because it's the first red candle. And 5 minutes, longer time frame than 2 minutes. Still pretty short time frame, but what you'll typically see in the morning, like especially around 9:30, I want to take off a portion of my position, and mind you, I have 4 times leverage on
Right.
this. So I'm trying to take off half. Then I move my stop to break even. So I locked in a pretty big portion. And then with this, I'm letting this run. And the reason I let it run is because I remember Abercrombie, when they reported earnings, it was just a smooth sailing channel the whole day on a 5-minute time frame. And I was like, I think Gap's going to do something very similar. So I let that play out until right here. You kind of get a little sell off. This is at all-time highs. So I'm seeing, people, traders or sellers coming in, and
Hmm.
I want to give it the benefit of the doubt to kind of make a turn back, and it did kind of later. But this was also on a Friday too, and this was like my biggest trade to date. So I was just like, I'm just gonna lock in these profits and log off. And so yeah, I mean the return was 27.5% for my portfolio overall. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a
Uh,
crazy trade. So you went your full account with forex margin in this one. Is that correct?
I did.
Yeah. So let's talk about managing risk right now and kind of mindset with that, because obviously you're taking much more risk than maybe the typical trader.
Yeah.
I I guess what do you think enables you to do that? Or do you plan to kind of continue to do that throughout your whole career, or kind of as your portfolio grows, or whatever, you plan to kind of scale it back a little bit and still trade aggressive, but maybe not take as much risk as you're doing now?
I think I'm going to be as aggressive until, you know, I'm at a level where, it's tough to enter and exit positions, and I
Yeah,
don't know where
liquidity wise.
that is.
Yeah,
And that's why kind of like Minervini's program, I think is more tailored to that, but the technicals are all still the same. It's just he does more like entering a quarter or half in at this point and at this point because he can't. That's what some of the benefits of having a smaller account is I can do this type of thing. And then when I'm in the USIC, this is I'm trying to
time to
win
go for it. Yeah,
this thing.
yeah.
And I kind of have the mentality like I like playing big. I like being on the edge of my seat, and I like those moves. And I'm able to handle big losses too. Like this is not all. Uh, I'm
It's not all
not winning all
winners.
the time.
Yeah.
I take some big losses, and um, it's just something I'm able to deal with. And I think having experience with the options early on, I think that was the only benefit of trading those options back then. And playing big, or I don't know, maybe it's something in my bloodline. Who knows? I don't know. It's just because I know traders do have a tough time with risk, but if you want the big returns, this is, you gotta trade with big money. And I have confidence, and this is what a big thing I learned from Pradeep is you got to do those deep dives and look at the winners, and that's just going to give you more conviction when you see it in a live market environment. Like I've seen this 100 times, and I know how I know the probability of this is going to work out. So I'm going to, put in this big position, but also, you still got the tight risk. It's not like you're going to lose all that money.
Yeah, 100%. And this year, what's kind of been your steepest drawdown off your peak, if you can remember?
It's actually recently.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is embarrassing to say, but July 1st, I took a short 4 times leverage on Nvidia. Now I was a little early, but and I took a massive hit. I lost I don't know percentage wise, but I lost over 40,000 on that, and it's just an ego thing, and I really thought it was gonna go down. I was just looking at it today because I was gonna
Yeah, do you
bring
want to bring it
it
up?
into, and that's why I don't like shorting, man. It's tough. Shorting is so hard,
Hmm.
but especially shorting and during holiday week or short week. I feel like a lot of the short weeks are more uh, the the market goes up. Like all the serious traders are gone, and it's just like you're leaving the kids alone, you know.
Right.
So I took the short right here. You could see how this has this massive wick. That's
Yep.
me getting stuck in this wick right here because I saw it falling. You see these red can like this is an outside day. This is a massive outside day in the daily.
Right.
So I'm saying, okay, this is running out of juice. It hit that trend line. Let me see if I could decrease it. Hit this trend line right here. And then the next day, keep selling off. And this is the 20 day that I use. And it sold below the 20 line. This is all on big volume. So these are not, small people exiting. And obviously it's going to chop around. It's not going to just go straight down. And then I saw it in the morning. The market opened, selling off really hard. I was like,
Yep.
this is it. It's happening right now. It's going to take off this area right here, but it didn't. It bought the dip, and yeah, I got stuck with it, and my ego kicked in, uh, saying that it's going to go down. There's no way it doesn't go down, and I held it overnight, and I exited right here, somewhere around here. Yeah, it was not a fond memory, but it happened.
It'll be a good lesson that you'll take forever. So it's valuable in that way for sure. Is there something you do after a big loss like that to kind of recenter yourself and kind of bring you back down to neutral?
Yeah, I mean, there's not like a set routine I have, but I do meditate every morning before market open. I think that helps with, my big positions as
Hmm.
well, for about 20 minutes. And after a big loss like that, it's just the only thing that's really going to help you is time. This time going by, you're gonna forget about it, the loss, in a couple days or a week. But I don't have like you're not gonna be instantly in a good
Fine.
mood
Right.
after the loss. It's just gonna take time, and you just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other and move it on to the next trade. You got to in this trading business, you have to have kind of a short-term memory and move on to the next. And obviously, I'm looking at what went wrong after that, and said, I can't believe I did this, blah blah blah. Listen to your rules, all that stuff. But it kind of gets you more focused and more motivated. Like, this is not going to happen again, and it gets you more focused to find the next opportunity
Right.
and to lock in even more. So, a lot of trading is like sports. It really is. Like, after a loss, after a big loss, all I can do is watch the tape and move on to the next. And it's already what's done is done, and you got to go to the next and try to learn from it and take the positives out of it.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have a sports background?
Just in high school,
Yeah.
just in high school, nothing crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. No, I also think there's a ton of parallels, for sure. Um, I played baseball, and when you make an error, third base, I played third. You make an error, the next ball is gonna be smoking hot right back at you, so you got to be ready for sure. No,
Yeah,
that's great. Did you have other trade examples that you wanted to run through?
yeah, I did. I wanted to show you a loser,
Yeah, perfect.
the small cap. Since we're on that topic, a
Yeah.
loser.
Well, it's that's the reality of trading, so it's good to show both sides. I mean, that gap trade was awesome. So,
This is one of the small caps in pre-market,
hmm.
and this one, you got the news, like I said, coming out right here, and then it comes back down, comes back down. Like this is going to be a perfect VCP going into the open. You see this? Like tightening here, tightens here, tightens here, and then massive volume right here.
Hmm.
And I bought over here like an idiot, but that's where I bought. Um, and this is where like you said, you learn. And what I've learned is like at market open, there's going to be a bunch of tricks, especially with this type of play with the VCP, especially with something that's already gapping up a lot. And I mean, I'm never gonna buy in this type of candle again. This candle is massive. Like this is, yeah, I'm buying into where people are selling. And like I said, I take a maximal stop loss of 10% because obviously the low of this is higher than 10% for sure.
Right.
And then this is where I got. This is where I started looking at the daily. I learned from this trade that you see this um, resistance line right here.
Yep.
This is massive supply from the daily, and that's when I started looking. It taught me to start looking at dailies
Hmm.
and um, at the bag holders on the daily, not just the resistance level, but also try to find the big bag holders.
Hmm.
Let me pull it up.
So this one, it looks like you also kind of bought a lot further from the VCP pivot than the other winner they shared with the LASC, I think.
Yeah, I bought a
219.
cracked the high.
Yeah.
It was hard to get into this.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, I wanted to get in right here. Yeah, I bought it. It was bad. It was bad. Yeah, so and this is recent too.
Hmm.
Massive supply. Look at all that volume here. And you got
Hmm.
that long wick over here. And it's not a coincidence that once it hit that level, that it fell right away.
Hmm.
That is another loss I learned from.
And this one, I had one other question. Oh yeah. So with this one, and just in general, do you have a certain amount of liquidity that you're looking for? Are you filtering at all by that, or just, on that day it has to be moving on a certain amount of volume?
No, it's got to have daily average of about over 100,000
Hmm.
shares traded. And then, like I said, I do want to see a million traded at the time I'm looking, at least
Hmm.
uh, traded. So we got both those checked off there.
Yeah, perfect. Let's see. Were there any others that you want to run through?
I could show you another earnings gap winner.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So this was ARM in February.
Hmm.
So ARM, another thing I look for is recent IPO, and obviously it's tied to the theme, the AI theme, semiconductor, and you kind of got like this VC minor VCP base right here, all-time highs. And then another aspect I'm looking for is in the pre-market, it already traded equivalent to its daily average. So, and that's just pre-market. So I know there's a lot of juice on that, right? And this had kind of a low float, so that kind of equates to having high short interest. Um, and we're in an early stage of the bull market too. We're in February, and then I got 8 price targets raised from analysts, one being Citibank. So I have a lot going for it for sure.
Hmm.
And then for this one, I just entered right market open.
Hmm.
And sometimes I'll do that on early stages of the bull market. Like for example, um, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, if there was earnings gaps, I'm looking for reversals. I'm not looking to enter in right away because we're kind of like a late stage or like anticipated corrective stage
Right.
of the market. Um, so kind of more in the early stages of the market, you could get away with entering in um, right at market open. Usually, what I like doing is buying at the 1 minute opening range breakout,
Hmm.
putting my
Hmm.
stop low, and you couldn't have had a better trade here. I bought it right here, and then I didn't even take anything off, and I rode this all the way up to when it started turning down on this big red candle.
Hmm. So you saw the red candle kind of reversing lower, and also volume coming in. That's kind of what led to the sell there.
Right, and it was also it was a big red candle.
Hmm.
Obviously, with these type of plays, you're not gonna get the top, and you just gotta live with that. If you get the top, you got lucky, to be honest. And so I'm just looking for I'm trying to get the most juice out of this. So I'm fine with selling a little below the top, and I'm selling right at this big red candle here.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Well, you got the juice out of it. 65% portfolio gains, not too bad. So,
yeah, and this one arm I was able to use the intraday margin.
yep.
Well, so 4 times. So just taking your time and researching and doing the deep dives, and then also researching what are the numbers, the analyst price targets, the fundamentals, the technicals, what's the theme of the market, and just being really like tied into the market, what's been going on, what's been working, and you're just putting layers and layers together to
Right.
increase your confidence, and that allows me to be able to confidently put in that type of size. So
Yeah, I really like that list of basically, as you said, like layers of edges that, are increasing the probability of that trade working. I think that's a great thing to have on your charts right there to kind of remind you that that's perfect.
Right, exactly. And then I could show you, let's see, I got one more.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll show you earnings gap loser, which is this ticker, man, has caused me so many problems. Coinbase.
Coin, yeah.
I know it's caused a lot of people problems, but this one causes so many problems for me. But anyway, they had stellar earnings, 142%. Sales incredible, 52%. Earnings surprise was 5,200%. Sales surprise 16%. The crypto theme, 10 price target raised, 10% short interest, and that I took big size. The only downfall of this is probably it was running up into earnings.
That's what I was
Look,
thinking. Yeah, yeah,
um, but then it was also breaking all-time highs, and that's what Coinbase does. Like the only way you could get into Coinbase is on the pullbacks. You can't get in because this is what it does. It just goes up, shoots up the right side every time. You got to get in somewhere here and be creative. But I got into this position. Um, let's see, where did I get in? Yeah, so it broke out of that all-time highs at 190. So I just buy the breakout,
mm-hmm,
and I got stopped out immediately.
mm-hmm.
About 5%. Um, it's just the trade that didn't work out, and I mean, you can't win them all, like you said. But yeah, the earning gappers, you don't win all of them. Even if you have all the layers, but the probability is you're going to win. Then if you're doing it correctly and putting all the layers together. But just want to show you that you're not going to win them all.
Yeah, and like you said, maybe it's something to do with the personality of coin specifically. Why this one didn't work out. It already moved up the right hand side so much.
And that's another aspect too. That it's a great point that before in part of your research, when you're going through the numbers, the fundamentals, you want to look at the personality of the stock, which I made a mistake here. Not looking at the personality, and also how it reacts to previous earnings, like and what their numbers were. Like I know, for example, today TSM, like when I was reading the numbers, it was pretty good. They had good guidance, not like eye-popping anything, but I was really surprised that it didn't at least go up at least 5%. It went down, I think it was more than 5%. Gapped up and then reversed. But that also ties into
The,
the market environment where we're
the
at.
semis, yeah.
If you look at TSM's how it's acted on previous earnings, it always you know shits the bed. Sorry,
Yep,
my language, but that's what it does.
yep. I wanted to ask you, you mentioned you've kind of credited deep dives as well for really building that conviction. What did you specifically do to go back and study these setups, build up your layers, and like you said, that just kind of gives you more confidence. What kind of process did you follow to do all those deep dives?
Yeah, I mean, I go pretty wild on them, man. Like here's my Google sheet. Like for the stocks in play,
Mm-hmm.
like so I'll go on the ticker. I'll mark like when did the news come out? Well, did it come out during the day? Was it post market? Was it pre market? Is it a penny stock? ATL means was it at all time lows? What was the short flow? What was the catalyst? What was the industry? Was there supply on the daily? And then just to get confident on the entries, you know, like for this type of move, this stock went up 62%. The risk would have been 9%. You got to get out in 36 minutes. And I'm just looking for similarities between uh, all these types of, uh, catalysts, and
Yeah.
also, you could dive into this so deeply that like there's so many different variables that come into play. I'm just trying to find something general, lock into that, and I'm still
developing
obviously
this. Yeah.
adjusting, learning as well, and adding more conviction. But it only comes with experience. But this is the type of things I do, man. I go through it pretty in depth and try to figure out how to get a good entry and good exit.
Yeah, it's excellent. Do you have a favorite type of catalyst that you've noticed for your trading seems to have, better success?
Definitely adding a new customer,
Hmm.
usually on the tech side. Uh, I mean, and then also if it's like a recent IPO type of stock, I like those as well. Or it has like a massive short float.
Hmm.
Like I'm talking about 70% short float or higher. Uh, Anything that has news with that type of juice, those could get you massive returns. Like I'm talking about triple digits in a day. And I like when the tech companies get a new customer, but also when sometimes they show the dollar amount of the amount of new revenue, sometimes they don't. Uh, it just depends on the size of the company and how much that's going to affect the revenue when they report earnings. And obviously another good one is like what SMCI did earlier this year
Right.
is they reported earnings before the earnings date or kind of adjusted. Uh, like,
Guidance. Yeah.
look, we're going to report massive earnings, by the way, in a week.
Yeah.
So, and then if that ties in with coming out of a base, like that's actually another example I had. Hold on a second. Because I caught the SMCI move.
Hmm. Was that what led to the strong January?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I mean this is like a picture perfect. I'm sure you've seen this chart many times in a
Yeah,
room
just a
with
few.
traders, but yeah, it's picture perfect. I'm just drawing these trend lines just to draw how the contraction gets smaller,
Hmm.
smaller and tighter, and then you even get these shakeout here, which gives it even more power because you're exchanging weak holders to serious holders, and uh, just shot up here, and it was a beauty.
What made you sell here? Just capturing the quick move?
Yeah, I just wanted to. I mean, it was something that I wasn't used to, man. Like a 50% move, I think, in a day,
Hmm.
something like that. I'm just gonna sell it all, and I'll re-enter. And I day traded it all the way up. Like I would day trade SMCI in a video like every day,
Hmm.
uh, and that also helped me out a lot. During the early bull market, it was pretty easy. It would if I saw a market open that went red, I'm looking for a reversal on SMCI in the video, and I'm having tight risk, and I'm putting a big position on, and
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get a couple points.
Yeah, excellent. Was there anything else related that you want to share with everybody today?
No, that was it. That's all I had.
Yeah, perfect. No, this has been excellent. Just kind of a few closing questions. First, is there any kind of exercise or homework that you would give everybody watching today? Put some work on their plate that you think would help them develop as a trader and you think would just kind of help them improve.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a new trader, you got to sign up for one of those programs. You got to sign up with one of the professional traders. I would sign up with MPA for sure, uh, and do all those videos and read his books. And um, I mean, that's where you're going to learn the most. And plus, you get to see him trade in a live market every day, and you get to see his comments. He does a Q&A every week. And I'm not getting paid for this, right? But I'm just saying that's what helps me a lot. But also, try out different other guys as well, and try to make your own strategy off that. But I would start off with going into one of those programs, and it's going to be well worth it. It's going to, I don't know, 100x your money. 100x plus your money. It's an investment, and you just got to be patient and you got to be determined, and you can't just put it off. And you got to do this every day, make it a habit, and also, after you get the gist of everything and all the strategies, that's when you could, start getting creative with different entries and different exits. And, I would also take a deep dive into the biggest winners over the past at least 10 years. Uh, and they all have the same pattern. It's crazy. And it's all the VCP, and it's up with handle, stuff like that. And um, I wouldn't get too overwhelmed with, double bottoms and stuff like that. Just try to figure out how to buy correctly and how stocks move. And stocks, they don't just go straight up. They come out of a consolidation, and they break out, and then they come back a little and break out again. And that's where I would start off, is definitely getting into finding a mentor and just paying the price. It's an investment.
Yeah. And obviously working hard with the deep dives as
Working
well on
hard
top of
with the
that.
deep
Yeah.
dives definitely helps a lot
Yeah.
too. It gives you more confidence. But first, you got to know.
The style.
You could still do the deep dives, but it's awesome when you know what you're looking for, and
Hmm.
then you know what you're looking for, but then you also find other things because you kind of, you got a nice background from what you've learned from your mentor, and then you can get creative with other things as well. I mean, just keep doing deep dives, as you can you can do both simultaneously.
Yeah, perfect. And do you have any other bits of advice for people watching? It could be trading related, it could be life related. Any kind of last bits of wisdom that you want to share with everybody?
Yeah, I mean, I think in order to be successful in trading is you gotta blow up your account, unfortunately, or you gotta take a big loss, and I think everybody has done it, or most successful traders have done it, and that's not something that's going to happen overnight. You're not just going to be an incredible trader the next day. I mean, it took me, I don't know, and I don't even consider myself successful. The year's not even done yet, and I still have a long way to go. But it's taken me since I was 23. And, I'm 31 now, so I had a good year last year for sure. But it's going to take
Takes
six,
time.
7 years, and you just got to learn as much as you can, man. You got to love it, and that's with anything, and be passionate about it. And I watched a lot of videos, dude. I watched so many your interviews, and I've taken a lot of stuff from bits and pieces from everybody. And Minervini's interview with you, I've watched countless of times. I've watched Pradeep interview with you. I've watched Mark Ritchie. I've watched so many videos of you. So what you're doing is incredible for the trading environment. So hats off to you for sure.
Well, thank you very much, and James, this has been a real pleasure. I really liked going through the trades with you, and yeah, wish you the best through the end of the year. It's gonna be a fun contest to watch. So wish you the best.
Yeah, appreciate it, Richard.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, James. To everybody watching, I hope you guys found this really, really valuable. I'd highly recommend rewatching this a few times, especially going through the charts, and really taking note of what James was saying and the fine details. There are a lot of golden nuggets there. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Please leave a like down below if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and we'll see you guys in future videos. Take care.